Mr. Eric Holthusen, CTO of Petronas. There are a very big field of lubricants in the last time with the new era of electric cars, with the new era of a new type of cars. We would like to know about the panorama about these things.
We have looked at electric mobility, at electric cars, at the requirements that will come. And there are some are very traditional. If you have electric cars that have gearboxes with no electrical parts, is basically a challenge that we know very well. But the new challenges that come, I would say, are in two areas. One is the fluid that takes care of the thermal management of the battery pack, and we have started to work on that. And secondly is the drivetrain, where you have the electric component, the motor, in an e-axle, for example, integrated with a gearbox. And the requirements for lubricants in that constellation are different from the traditional requirements to lubricants.
Increasingly the low friction with lubricants, it means that you have a better consumption, but also minus pollution.
Exactly, that is why I mentioned in my speech today, we concentrate very much on tribology. Tribology, the science of friction, yes? And we have one of the most sophisticated tribology laboratories in our R&D center in Turin. And tribology principles apply to traditional drivetrains, but also to electrical drivetrains. So we can apply that competence across the drivetrain portfolio.
Many people think that with this type of lubricants of new types, it's necessary to change more often. This is true, can be true. What you can say about?
We would need to have more experience with that. We know that the thermal loads, the thermal stress on fluids is different. Whether that leads to more oxidation, which is the trigger for a change, we have to find out. It is still very early days.
Actually, the thermal combustion engines have a high pressure or general high compression too. There are some special type of lubricant for this type of engines, of modern engines?
The development today is driven by fuel economy, of course. The requirement is always make the engine run more efficiently and help that with the lubricants. High pressure internal combustion engines like we deal with today are mostly the small engines with high turbochargers, like the one behind us. Yeah, this is a typical example, and it's all also there. It's all about friction. It's about improving the efficiency of the engine, and that is applicable across the board. I would say the requirements are more severe to meet. So the quality of the base oil has to go up. We talked about Etro Plus, our new base oil today. Thermal stability of the lubricant has to be increased, and that is the fields that we are currently working in.
The highest temperatures that use the actual engines, it means that Petronas have to develop a new type of lubricant for it?
Yes, you heard me speaking about Cooltech. Syntium with Cooltech, the development of that was only possible through very sophisticated measurements that were in the past not possible. Today we put little temperature probes in pistons, and by a telemetry measuring the temperatures in the pistons, so we get a much better understanding what the actual peak temperatures are that an oil has to endure. Traditionally, you look at your oil gauge in the car and it says something between 140 and 90, but it's by far not the peak temperatures. Oils today in the piston ring area probably have to deal with temperatures up to 270 degrees, and they can for short term. Yeah, not for a long term, but for a short term. But it means for us, we have to build that resistance into the lubricants, and moreover, make the lubricants a coolant as well. That's why we talk about Cooltech. Our new Syntium range, for example, has superior thermal capacities, not only to resist heat, but also to transport heat away from the hot piston areas, for example, and then to the oil cooler, to the radiators to vent off the heat. So that is designed into the lubricant.
It will be the same development for a cooling system of batteries for electric cars?
In a way, yes. We are very active, I have to say. We are very active in looking into the cooling, or I would call it thermal management, because at some stage you have to actually heat up batteries. How best to do that? What is the best configuration? And do lubricants or coolants make a difference? Today, I think it's very difficult to answer that question, but we want to answer that question. What are the best suited fluids for the thermal management of a battery pack? And I don't believe that it's just taking the glycol from an internal combustion engine, put it in a battery pack. That's what's done a lot today, but I think we get into more sophisticated battery packs. So there might be something in there where a fluid can actually help to improve efficiency of batteries and also improves the lifespan of a battery pack.
How many things Petronas learn with this car that is behind us in Formula One?
I would say a lot, particularly in terms of lubrication, because the high pressures, the high temperatures there enabled us to experiment with new molecules. What we today call cool tech was actually developed in Formula One 5 years ago, when suddenly the small turbocharged engines were introduced, and we had to manage the heat that the engine develops a lot more. So I would say everything about heat management, about thermal management, came initially from this car. It's one of our fastest test laboratories.
Thank you very much, and good Ginevra to show.
Thank you, Marcelo. Thank you.